All right, you and I are diving into a story with a furious mob boss staring at his phone, losing it because his delivery is late. Staring at the app, he rants about the Chinese restaurant being slow and blames modern kids for having zero work ethic. Scanning the warehouse, the gangster grumbles that politicians and big corporations rip everyone off, and nobody puts in real effort anymore. Gripping a baseball bat, he claims that if everyone just did their absolute best, the entire world would be a dream. Then he asks the victim hanging upside down right next to him if he agrees with his little speech. Tapping the bat against his palm, the suited thug warns that he only does his job like a true professional. The victim, though, was totally unprofessional, which made him some dangerous enemies, and now he is facing a miserable, painful end. The henchman winds up, ready to deliver a brutal blow, telling the hostage to stop squirming unless he wants to kick the bucket right now. His exact orders were to beat him half to death before disposing of him, while muffled screams echo throughout the warehouse. Suddenly, a delivery guy wearing a helmet kicks the door wide open and announces that the package has arrived. The boss spins around, furious at the interruption, cursing out the biker for taking so long and calling him trash. Completely baffled, the mobster demands to know who this weirdo is. After all, his men were guarding the entrance outside, so there is no way a simple delivery boy just walked past them unnoticed. Now watch closely, because this mysterious biker is just staring at the criminals in dead silence. Totally unfazed, he sets the takeout box down. Preparing for action, the newcomer crouches low next to his thermal delivery bag. With complete calm, he starts counting how many thugs are in the room, leaving the boss totally lost. Checking his phone, the delivery guy counts 10 armed thugs and adds a late-night service fee. The final total is a pretty hefty sum, making the boss scream and demand to know what the hell he is doing. The biker's response is incredibly direct. He is just here to fight. He explains that, to collect his payment, he has to beat down every single one of them. The thugs immediately pull knives and surround the intruder. As he casually mentions that it is nothing personal, thinking it is a joke, one mobster lunges forward. Spotting an opening, our hero delivers a lightning-fast kick directly to the guy. Without missing a single beat, he follows up with a brutal elbow right to the second thug's face. A third guy tries his luck, slashing a knife at the helmet. With insane reflexes, the delivery guy catches his wrist mid-air. He fires a direct punch that knocks the criminal completely unconscious on the spot. With only the boss left standing, the delivery guy finishes the job with a devastating roundhouse to his head. You and I both saw that coming, right? The entire warehouse falls dead silent after that beating. Standing over a sea of bodies, the intruder mentions he is in a rush for his next delivery. Seeing the boss still breathing, he dares him to fight. The mobster struggles to stand up, groaning in agony. Absolutely furious, he screams out, demanding to know who this absolute monster is. To the criminal, it makes zero sense that a simple delivery boy just wiped out his entire gang alone. He demands to know who hired him and how much they paid. Desperate to save his skin, the boss offers to double or triple that amount. The only answer he gets is another ruthless knee strike straight to his face. Looking down at the defeated boss, the biker explains that taking bribes violates his terms of service. With the fight over, he kneels down to search the unconscious boss's pockets. Quickly, he pulls out his phone to snap a photo as proof of completion. The camera flash lights up the warehouse as he captures the total, absolute chaos he just caused. Proof sent, the delivery guy is already planning his next stop. Meanwhile, the tied-up hostage squirms desperately to get some attention. Struggling with all his might, the victim finally rips the tape off his mouth. The trapped man complains about the slow rescue and begs to be untied, whining that his head is spinning. Seeing the biker just standing there, the victim gets annoyed and screams, asking if he is completely deaf, but the guy calmly replies that saving hostages is not included in his premium package. Turning around to leave, the delivery boy completely ignores the panicked pleas of the guy terrified of being abandoned. To silence the screaming, the intruder slaps the tape right back on his mouth. He advises him that if he wants help, send a request to Heavenly Delivery Services. Taking off his helmet, Liang reveals his face and declares he will take any job if the cash is right. His routine is simple: just accept the gig on his app, then show up and beat down the target. What did you and I think of this wild ride? By the end of his shift, he walks away with a mountain of cash. Get ready, because we are about to find out how this high-stakes business started 2 years ago when he risked it all. Walking through school, he casually admits he has always been the absolute best when it comes to fighting. For a kid his age, the cash from this secret gig was insane. He checks his phone between classes to watch his funds grow. His ultimate dream is to buy a luxurious penthouse right in the heart of Seoul before he even turns 20. Staring at his screen in pure frustration, Ling sees that housing prices have just skyrocketed yet again. His bank account is loaded, but as you and I know, that is still not enough for a Seoul down payment. Stretching by the window, the boy realizes that working a regular 9 to 5 for his entire life would be pure torture. Even though he makes bank, app clients are drying up. Stressed over cash, he starts looking for another hustle to boost his income. Looking up at the sky, the young man mutters, begging the universe to send him a financial miracle. He just wants a bag of cash to drop, but instead, a girl literally falls right in front of his eyes. Shocked by the loud thud, he stares at the girl on the floor. Trust me, things are about to get wild. All right, you and I are starting with this absolute jerk mocking a girl, telling her she flew back from a simple touch. His lackeys burst out laughing, joking that their boss hits like a giant truck wrapped up in fluffy marshmallows. On the cold floor, the bruised girl glares up at the group of bullies with eyes full of pure hatred. The bully spots her glare, getting incredibly offended by her sheer audacity to roll her eyes at him like that. Showing zero mercy, he kicks her again, telling her she needs a serious reality check and to stop acting tough. Humiliating her in front of everyone, the coward brings up her dead father's debts. Trust me, watching her curl up in pain is absolutely heartbreaking. The attacker approaches the fallen girl, demanding she simply accept becoming his new girlfriend. With a gaze sharp enough to melt steel, the student replies that she wouldn't do that for any amount of money. Hearing that, the guys get furious at her boldness. But then, our main character suddenly steps into the hallway, demanding an immediate, direct apology from the bully. Utterly confused by this, the lackey wonders what the new guy just said, but panics and warns his boss, "This guy is dangerous. You and I know he's done for. Trust me on this." To avoid a hospital trip, the lackey begs his boss to just apologize quick. But the bully flat out refuses, snapping that he is in no mood to apologize. Glaring at our main character, the big guy mocks him, asking if he thinks he is some knight in shining armor. Ice cold, the delivery guy asks this clown who exactly he thinks he is to be giving orders. Triggered by his attitude, the coward pulls out a pocket knife and threatens him for staring like that. Losing his mind completely, the thug promises to slash the delivery boy's face without a second thought. Before he can even twitch, the bully gets smashed in the face with a mop, slamming hard against the wall. You and I both know these cowards. Seeing their boss knocked cold, they instantly bow and run for their lives. Watching them flee, our main character grumbles that they should have apologized to him first. Right after, the guy tosses a business card, letting it land right on the bruised schoolgirl's head. As long as he gets paid, he promises to handle any threat and even offers her a discount code. Still on the floor, the girl remains completely silent, trying to process the absolute chaos of this rescue. Picking up the card, she reads the Heavenly Delivery Agency logo printed on the paper. Think about this. She stares at the card as school life returns to normal around her. When the final bell rings, students rush out. Later that evening, his phone clock reads 6 in the afternoon. Perched on a wall, the biker eats a snack, grumbling about not getting a single job alert today. Under the sunset, he sighs over how hard making money is. Looking out, he notices the countless buildings filling the skyline. Frustrated, he realizes he does not own even a single square inch of those luxury skyscrapers. Right then, his delivery app pings, drawing his eyes straight to the screen. Hyped up, the boy celebrates, staring at an order with a massive 10 million won reward. Curious about this absolute goldmine, he checks the destination. But reading the address, he is left completely shocked by the delivery spot. The destination? The legendary Gangnam Tower Palace. Literally the priciest area in town. Trust me, looking up at the entrance, you cannot even see the top. And, trust me, you and I would be just as curious to see inside this ridiculously luxurious place. Come along with me to see how this guy puts on his classic orange delivery uniform and slides on his black helmet to hide his identity for this mission. He tightens his dark gloves, physically gearing up for whatever insane danger is waiting for him up there. For the first time in forever, our little intruder admits he is actually itching to throw some hands. Meanwhile, a creepy guy with a face full of scars waits patiently in the shadows. Strolling calmly through the luxury hallways, the delivery boy prepares to secure his target. The elevator dings, opening up to an eerie, dead, silent floor. Stepping out, he figures his target must be a total magnet for trouble to live in a penthouse like this. Being extra careful, he picks the lock and slowly pushes open the massive front door of the apartment. Standing at the entrance, our intruder calls out the delivery in a loud, clear voice to get their attention, but the place is pitch black, forcing him to ask if anyone is even home. To see better, he quickly flicks on his phone flashlight. The beam of light reveals expensive vases and elegant plants decorating the entrance. Creeping forward, he shines the light across a massive living room that looks completely abandoned. Annoyed by the dark, he grumbles about not seeing a thing through all this rich person clutter. Suddenly, a strange sound makes him freeze and glance back. Creeping through the dark, several quiet footsteps begin to surround our intruder from behind. Thugs armed with knives and bats leap from the shadows, ready to ambush the delivery guy. With lightning reflexes, Liang barely dodges a brutal bat swing to his head. Seizing the opening, he counters with a devastating right hook straight to the attacker's face. The thug goes flying backward from the sheer impact, crashing right into the middle of the living room. Standing in the dark, our hero wonders what kind of circus he just walked into. Sizing up the armed group, he quickly realizes these guys definitely do not look like the owners of this penthouse. The guy complains that the client should have specified the exact number of enemies in the delivery notes. Further back, the gang leader realizes this random intruder is definitely not their actual target. Even so, he orders his men to finish off the delivery boy immediately, without giving him a single second to breathe. Unfazed, Ling boots another thug away with a kick to the chest. He calmly starts counting out loud each enemy he takes down. Hearing this, one of the mobster's eyes go wide as he realizes the monstrous strength of the masked kid. Another goon rushes in, shouting insults, trying to land a strike with a solid iron axe. But our delivery guy simply catches his wrist mid-air, stopping the attack effortlessly. Right after, he unleashes a rapid-fire volley of punches to the goon's chest. The criminal is sent flying from the pure force, slamming hard against the luxurious floor. Watch closely here. Our main character has to throw his arms up fast to block a brutal surprise attack. A heavy iron chain slams against his guard with insane power, echoing through the room. The masked giant glares at him like he is his next prey. Checking his phone with absolute chill, the delivery guy simply updates his mental tally to 5 enemies down. Keeping up the momentum, he follows through with a sidekick that sends yet another mobster flying. Right then, the big guy with the chain manages to pin the delivery boy's arms from behind. Subduing him, the giant admits the kid is fast, but boasts that brute strength always guarantees the win. However, The giant gets a shock and breaks into a cold sweat when he tries to squeeze. Terrified of the boy's unreal strength, he panics as his fingers get crushed. Totally grossed out, Lang complains that getting hugged from behind by other guys is absolutely disgusting. With a swift motion, the delivery guy breaks the giant's grip, making him shriek in pure agony right in the middle of the room. Right behind them, another thug with a knife asks the big guy what he's doing instead of attacking. You felt that chill too, right? Our main character turns around, cracks his knuckles, and asks the criminal if he wants to be next. Hearing that, the criminal goes into a total panic, cursing out the delivery guy while shaking like a leaf. Outside the luxury apartment, complete silence fills the hallway until a massive crash echoes through the floor, showing just how intense the fight is. Sighing in exhaustion, Liang finishes counting his 7th knocked-out goon, thinking that was the final boss. The mobsters lie completely unconscious after the absolute beating they just received. But the boy notices his math is off and announces that his shift is not quite over yet. With that, he lunges forward, throwing a lightning-fast punch, declaring there is still one last target standing. The fist stops just inches from the person's face, leaving the delivery guy completely thrown off. Standing there, totally unfazed, is none other than his high school classmate. And that is where we leave it, wondering what on earth she is doing here. Alright, let us dive into the scene where this schoolgirl sarcastically asks what he thinks she is doing here. Showing her phone with the open app, she drops a major bombshell. She placed that $1 million order. Looking at the absolute wreckage, she comments that beating a group of professional assassins definitely was not easy. Since he managed to take them all down without a single scratch and without crossing the line, the client says he passed the test. Still completely confused, our main character just stares at his classmate. With an incredibly serious look and a bruised face, she maintains her cold composure before the delivery guy. Cutting out all the useless small talk, the student proposes that he join her in a new business venture. Pointing to the disaster around them, she explains someone is after her and wants him officially on her payroll. Though she promises it is exactly what he already does, Liang complains, wondering what kind of madness this is. The boy warns her that he does not take full-time jobs because it violates his personal rules. Plus, he reminds her of what the school bully said about her family going completely broke. Now, pay close attention here, because he tells her she should worry about paying for tonight's delivery instead. Unfazed by his provocation, the student simply nods with absolute calm at the boy's sharp words. Losing his patience, the delivery man demands the cash right now, saying he will even take physical bills. He warns her about the fight's extra fee, raising the price, but she cuts him off, telling him not to bargain. At that exact moment, a massive stack of cash drops right into the delivery man's hands. Then, piles of cash stacks crash to the floor, covering the ground and forming a literal fortune before him. Our main character freezes completely upon hearing that unbelievable offer of $100 million for each completed mission. Ignoring his freelance policies, she swings her backpack over her shoulder and says they both need each other. With the floor covered in cash, the client assures him everything will go fine as long as their interests align. Holding the stacks of bills without even blinking, Liang wonders in utter shock if this is actually real life. Completely hypnotized, he tries to process whether he really holds such an unbelievable amount of money in his hands. Noticing his change in mood, she remarks his attitude improved. Snapping back to reality, he says he has one last question. Amidst the suspense and danger, the girl gets straight to the point and asks if he accepts the deal or not. As night covers the empty streets after the chaos, come along with me to see what happens next. Outside a local bank branch, cash machines keep running in the middle of the silent night. With his motorcycle parked outside, the protagonist tries to sort out his business inside. Under the cold light of the cash machine, he holds one of the bills she gave him. Examining the bill with a serious look, he tries to figure out if a teenager just scammed him completely. To clear his doubts once and for all, the delivery man carefully slides the bill into the slot. The machine quickly absorbs the cash to run a standard security verification through the system. Extremely stressed, the boy stares intently at the glowing screen, anxiously waiting for the machine's final verdict. With his heart racing, Lee Sang prays that the money is 100% real until the screen lights up to announce transaction completed, confirming the successful deposit into his account. Hearing the bank's robotic voice thank him, the delivery guy is totally stunned. Trembling with pure excitement, the boy can barely believe that this massive fortune is actually real. 2 hours ago, in the dark apartment, the girl was waiting for the delivery man's final answer. Standing firm, she pressured the guy to make up his mind between accepting the deal or walking away. Instead of answering, our main character crouched down on the floor, surrounded by massive stacks of cash. With his head down, he tried to process the absolute madness of becoming his classmate's bodyguard. Unable to turn down such insane money, he finally gave in and accepted. But taking a stack, Liang examined the paper way too closely. Annoyed, he threw the money back at her, calling her a fool for thinking he would fall for toy cash. Laughing it off, he mocked the setup, praising her acting and admitting he almost fell for it for a second. Clenching the bills tightly in his fist, the delivery man showed just how angry he was over that little trick. Stepping right up to her face, he claimed with absolute certainty that all this money was just a big fake. Judging by the smell and the texture, the boy swore that this stuff was nothing but a cheap imitation. He insists her family is broke, accusing her of scamming him. And trust me, you and I want to see what happens next. Come along with me, because she asks him with a dangerous calm if he is really sure he won't regret leaving. In response, he just turns his back and flips her off. Walking away, he says he will waive the delivery fee out of pity, but they must ignore each other at school. Back in the present, standing at the ATM, Liang loses his mind, realizing that mountain of cash was actually real. Outside, he screams in frustration, tempted to crawl back for those bills. But his massive ego completely crushes that idea. Banging his head against the machine, he cries, wondering if he will ever get another miracle shortcut to wealth like that again. But checking his phone, his eyes light up because luck is calling again. A crypto chart, where he invested, shows a massive green candle shooting straight into the sky. Stunned by the sudden surge, he cannot believe his eyes as his small investment portfolio suddenly skyrockets. Laughing like an absolute movie villain, he brags that trading is his true calling and that he will bet it all on luxury. Now pay attention here, because in a single blink, the entire chart crashes, completely destroying his dreams in a second. Completely broken, the delivery boy stands by the ATM on a dark, empty street. Suddenly, the loud shatter of glass startles the few people nearby. Blinded by pure rage, after losing absolutely everything, he punches the banking terminal with all his might. Once his adrenaline fades, he realizes the massive mistake he just made and gasps in sheer horror. Locked in handcuffs, he does not even care when the police officers remind him that he is still a minor. At the station, the detective asks what he was thinking and demands to know which high school he goes to. By some miracle, the officer says the bank is being generous. If he pays for the damages within a week, he is free. Hearing this, our protagonist panics as he realizes the massive, terrifying financial hole he has dug for himself. Holding the bill, he stares in complete disbelief at the fine of nearly 10 million won for shattering that screen. Walking out of the station, the delivery boy wanders down the dark streets, completely clueless on how to raise that much cash. The crushing weight of his sudden debt hits him like a freight train. The next morning, school starts under the bright sun. Looking like a total zombie from a completely sleepless night, Ling approaches the female lead to finish yesterday's conversation, but she immediately cuts him off, asking what he decided about her insane proposal of $1 million. Imagine standing in his shoes right now, facing her while she waits for an answer in absolute silence. Interrupting them, the notorious school bully storms over, completely furious just looking at our main character. Glaring at him, the bully says this is perfect timing since he was already hunting him down for a rematch. The giant swears he won't hold back, bragging that his new backups actually know how to throw a punch. With zero patience left, our boy grabs the coward's face, warning him they are finishing yesterday's business right now. Using that momentum, he slams the bully's face into a desk while his wealthy client calmly waits for his answer. Sent flying into the desks, the bully shrieks in agony from the brutal impact of that lightning-fast strike. Shocked by the sudden beatdown, one of the goons panics and charges, yelling to ask if he has lost his mind. As the thug swings, Liang calmly explains that he just needed some time to think over her massive proposal. Easily dodging the strike, he reasons that normal people do not just accept that kind of money instantly. Instantly, he knocks the guy out cold, shouting that he will take the job for 50% less. Crushing the last goon with a flying kick, our delivery boy begs for an advance to pay his debt. With his enemies snoring on the floor, the protagonist reaches his hand out directly to the female lead. Desperate to settle his bank fine, he begs her to hand over the contract so he can sign it immediately. But she keeps her icy composure, raising a hand to tell him to stop acting like such a pathetic beggar. Without another word, she turns her back and walks away, leaving our delivery boy standing there completely lost. Panicked by her sudden rejection, he grabs her shoulder, reminding her that she literally begged him for his help. Glancing back, the young heiress gives him a chilling look and warns him they have a major problem here. Standing her ground, she complains that he has been addressing her without a shred of basic respect this entire time. She demands he swallow his stupid pride and politely beg her for the job, like a real professional would. As the entire classroom whispers about this wild drama, he feels absolutely trapped with no other escape route. Losing patience with his hesitation, she threatens to cancel the whole deal, leaving him sweating in pure shame. Swallowing his pride, Liang bows down in a humiliating display of submission that you and I will never forget. All right, you and I are about to watch this client open her bag and reveal the next target on her hit list. She pulls out a hair clipper, revealing that their main target is none other than the class bully himself. His eyes nearly pop out when he hears this jerk is getting a punishment far worse than a beating. Meanwhile, far from the school, things look incredibly chill at a luxury city golf course. A bunch of suits are busy kissing up to the company president, cheering his latest success. But with his club over his shoulder, the CEO is definitely not feeling these fake compliments from his lackeys. Glancing back, the boss coldly asks if he looks like he is in a good mood, instantly silencing his security guards. Taking a drag of his cigarette, the businessman mumbles with pure venom, wanting to crush anyone who dares cross his path. As the head of a massive steel empire, the boss keeps complaining that the world is just full of useless leeches. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing like crazy. When he pulls it out, the glowing screen reveals that his beloved son is calling him. Instantly switching gears, the billionaire answers with a warm, doting dad voice, already offering to wire him some cash. Over the speaker, the teenager's trembling voice calls out to his father in a state of absolute, sheer panic. Curled up in a ball on the bathroom floor, the bully weeps uncontrollably, saying he wants that girl gone for good. Hearing the girl's name, the CEO's expression completely changes, recognizing her as the daughter of an old acquaintance. The son then blabs that she hired someone to jump him and shave a massive bald spot right down the middle of his head. To make matters worse, the kid sobs that a picture of him passed out and bald is currently trending all over the internet. Totally humiliated, the big guy cries, whining that he can never show his face at school ever again. Listening to his crying son, a cold and ruthless look takes over the billionaire's eyes. Swallowing his rage, the father uses a calm tone, promising to handle this personally. The moment the kid calms down, he hangs up with ice in his veins. Staring out at the course, The boss processes the sheer nerve of this client, trying to challenge his family's untouchable empire. Furious at his goons buried up to their necks, he demands to know how they will pay for this embarrassing loss. Fed up with his team's absolute incompetence, watch closely, because this guy humiliates his men for failing before doing something totally ruthless, using a buried goon's head as a golf tee. In a flash, the CEO swings and hits the ball with all his might, completely ignoring the terror of his buried henchmen. As he watches the ball fly, the billionaire spots a very strange guy entering the course. Holding a bag, a delivery guy wearing a blue helmet walks up, casually commenting on how tough the game looks. With a smirk, the newcomer says he prefers to stick to his usual day job of beating people up. Pointing his golf club at the biker, the bully's father tells him that's exactly why he called him over. Hearing that, one of the suited guards pops open a mysterious briefcase right in front of the mercenary. Revealing stacks and stacks of cold hard cash, the tycoon promises a massive payout if the job is handled quietly. The young delivery guy's eyes literally light up, and honestly, you and I would be tempted by that mountain of cash too. Super hyped about the massive pay, the biker starts cracking up, completely ignoring the big boss. Finding it hilarious, he slaps the guard's arm and laughs about how they're doing business with cash briefcases just like in the movies. Flashing his phone screen, the kid shows off that the best fixers seal their deals through an app these days. Pushing his luck, the intruder calls the entire group amateurs, which makes the guard grab him right by his uniform, yanking the loudmouth by the collar while ordering him to shut his mouth before he ends him, right then and there. Responding to the threat, the delivery guy shoves the guard's face away with a lightning-fast push. Staying completely calm, the kid warns him not to touch him. The goon backs off yelling, while the kid points out their service sucks because their leader is useless. Checking his phone, the tycoon admits his mistake and declares he will leave the entire job in Minjin's hands. Looking down at his own screen, the biker says he'd love to wrap this up as fast as possible. The rich guy notes that the target has a private driver as the app loads up the student's profile. Locking onto his target, the kid analyzes the info with dead seriousness. The boss promises to clean up the mess his way, asking if he has any issues with that. Lighting up a cigarette, the tycoon says everything will be fine as long as he deletes the problem without leaving a single trace. With his decision made, our main character taps the button to officially accept the job on his app. Hyped up by the insane reward, the delivery guy confirms the deal instantly. His screen displays a crazy payout of $50 million for each completed task. And that's how it all begins, but you and I both know this deal won't end until the dirty work is completely done. Pointing at the girl, he makes it clear that side quests are strictly banned for now. Stick with me. The student nods and demands he stay glued to her side 24/7, no matter what. Out in the courtyard, she asks if her bodyguard can actually swear to follow that rule. Shocked by the wild demand, the guy goes silent. Scratching his head, he complains that always being together is just too much. It sounds way too cheesy. Sighing from exhaustion, the biker raises his hand and finally accepts all her conditions. Staring at his client, he makes the official bodyguard oath. Right then, his phone buzzes with a brand new message. Holding up her phone, the student announces that he is now officially her exclusive driver and nobody else. As they walk, the guy calculates rent and food. He feels too awkward to ask for an advance. To fix this, he asks when the next job is, even suggesting they grab a simple bite to eat. She stops in confusion, asking where he is going, since school is the other way. Calmly, he replies that he is off to work. Surprised, she asks if he expects her to skip class, but he yells back that he needs his perfect attendance award. Heading to the parking lot, the delivery guy cannot stop crying over losing his flawless academic record. With no choices, they get on the bike. Watch closely, because this new job starts right now. School is left behind as they skip class for business. Inside a shady, abandoned warehouse, a group of students trembles before some thugs. Sitting like a king, the leader of the bullies looks down on his victims like they are total trash. Beside him, a lackey points out how the hostages are having a nervous breakdown. The boss asks why everyone is shaking so much, swearing he has been extremely polite to them. He complains they walked in on their own, not understanding why they act like pigs in a slaughterhouse. Trying to control the room, the thug demands calm and warns them he will only say things once. With a toxic vibe, the criminal orders the girls to strip right now. He threatens force if they do not cooperate nicely. Suddenly, the delivery guy appears with his back to the door, announcing that a package has arrived. Checking his app, Liang confirms the name and grade of his target. A lackey gets confused by this morning delivery and tells him to leave the food on the floor, but the leader panics, asking who ordered food in his name. Taking advantage of the confusion, the biker charges in and delivers a devastating blow to those thugs. Ready to fight, our hero replies that this express beatdown was ordered especially for the boss himself. Within seconds, the criminals bite the dust, completely broken and begging for mercy to stop the pain. After clearing the room, his client's footsteps echo. Do you think she is satisfied with the work? She enters and asks if he delivered. Giving a thumbs up, the biker smiles and assures her that the express delivery was a total success. Wasting no time, the mercenary grabs the passed-out leader by the hair. He lifts his battered face to unlock the phone with facial recognition. But the damage is so severe that the camera cannot even recognize the owner and denies access. Seeing such a rookie mistake, the student lets out a heavy sigh of absolute disappointment. She complains that is why she told him not to hit the face, asking if he is a rookie. Behind them, the rescued kids mutter, unsure whether to run or thank them. Noticing the movement, the female client immediately grabs the hostage's attention. Pointing at the victims, she orders the delivery guy to find out which school they all belong to. She snaps her fingers, giving a direct command. Like an absolute boss, she orders everyone to kneel in the corner and raise their hands. She threatens to end anyone who lowers their arms while Liang just watches her, thinking that her style is incredibly bizarre. Suddenly, the delivery guy gets super confused and asks what game she is playing now. Checking her phone, the client tells him to speed up since they still have tons of ground to cover. The next destination is Gujiang High School. In the classroom, students are confused to see a delivery guy walk in way before lunchtime. Without warning, the mercenary slams a metal tray right into the face of the bully, nicknamed the Pimp. Job done. They snap a photo for the app, proving that the package was successfully delivered. At another school, a different thug runs through the hallways in pure panic, fleeing to save his own life. The target loses his mind as he bursts into the staff room. The coward screams for help, shouting that a maniac is attacking them all. Before he can finish, the delivery guy grabs his face and brutally slams it against the floor. While Li Sang pins down the target, she pretends they are playing cops. We definitely need to see what happens next. Come along and watch our delivery guy cross a bully named the Pastor off his list. The hunt never stops, and the app confirms another school's infamous mad dog has finally been taken down. Without missing a single beat, our rider chokes out his next target to secure yet another successful mission. Another school boss gets what he deserves, ending up on his knees after an epic beatdown. By the end of his shift, his phone gallery is flooded with photos of defeated bullies and completed deliveries. An entire mountain of confiscated phones gets dumped all at once right into a cold metal locker. Then, the girl slams the heavy locker door completely shut. She says there is only one place left to finish today's count and warns him to stay alert. Our rider listens to his client's plan in complete and absolute silence. Sitting on his motorcycle, our main character asks her if they are actually playing for the exact same team. The high schooler pauses for a second before asking what he means. Li Sang promises to follow orders, but complains about the total lack of communication in this mutual deal. Tapping on his helmet, he suggests they should at least share what the ultimate goal of this entire journey actually is. Without beating around the bush, she instantly makes it clear they are not a team or partners at all. Staring straight into his eyes, she calls this a strictly cash deal, where either side can walk away whenever they want. That is why she says keeping secrets is normal, since he is just a hired gun. Still, she pulls out a device, revealing she gathers the phones to track down a very specific contact. The student confesses her ultimate end goal is to lead our writer straight to that exact target. Now, pay attention here. She asks if that little confession is enough to keep him quiet. In that split second, a brutal crash completely obliterates the motorcycle and sends Lee Sang flying violently through the air. Holding the girl tightly in his arms, our delivery guy slides across the pavement to cushion their hard landing. Still on the ground, he asks if she is okay after that massive crash, but the student just slaps his hand away coldly. Wasting zero time, she stands right up, looking absolutely furious at the cheap shot. She stays completely focused, analyzing the total wreckage around them. Adjusting his helmet, Lee Sang groans that he is absolutely not having a good day today. Staring at the scrap metal on the road, he almost cries, remembering he still had 28 monthly payments left on that bike. From inside a nearby truck, a blonde guy yells out, pointing and screaming that those two are indeed their targets. The thug insults the driver for failing to crush them, asking if the old man actually wants to get paid. The old driver calmly apologizes, making excuses that he is rusty since he has not taken a job in ages. Opening the door, the old man tells his passenger to wait just a second. With absolute calmness, he unlatches the back doors of the truck container. Swinging the doors wide open, the driver announces he will make the delivery and send the targets directly to the blonde guy. Right in the middle of the street, the massive force of the crash completely shattered the screen of a recovered phone. I know what you are thinking, and yeah, she discovers with total frustration that every single collected phone is now completely useless. The high schooler narrows her eyes, radiating pure rage at the situation. Spotting the truck's logo, she curses that out of all the delivery agencies, they had to run into Godu. The client warns Lee Sang to keep his guard up, because this is definitely not your average shipping company. While the driver rummages through his cargo, our writer confronts the old man in a highly aggressive manner. Our main character demands he pay the full price of the bike if he does not want his free trial of life to expire today. Ignoring the threat completely, the old guy keeps searching his cargo, mumbling that his first tool choice is not the right one. He tosses aside several random tools, complaining that none of them feel quite right, until the veteran grabs something from the very bottom with a satisfied grin. Pulling out a massive, long case, the man remarks he has not used this specific piece in ages, but it will do just fine for today's gig. Meanwhile, our delivery guy keeps complaining that his bike was an exclusive model bought just 2 short months ago. Furious, he screams he is charging a massive fee for emotional damage. Suddenly, the old man strikes with full force, obliterating the road where our rider stood and leaving a giant crater. Holding a massive giant spear, the driver sighs, admitting he is completely out of practice when it comes to holding back his power. With a creepy smile, the attacker says the kid dodged purely by luck. Clenching his fists, Lee Sang listens as the elder warns him that continuing to act tough will seriously shorten his life expectancy. Our protagonist blocks the massive spear using only his bare forearms, cracking the asphalt right under his boots from the sheer pressure. Fresh blood starts dripping from the boy's gloves while he remains totally focused, not saying a single word. Laughing, the old man says he totally understands how young people just love to show off all that reckless energy. The driver claims he has seen tons of cocky rookies fall, and that is where we leave it. Let us see if our guy survives this next strike. Come along with me, as this delivery guy admits he misjudged the distance, but promises a perfect block. Provoked by the mockery, the old man's eyes lock on in a completely unhinged stare, repeating that showing off will destroy you. The veteran charges, spinning his spear at full power. The weapon swings down in a devastating arc right at the delivery guy. Seizing the opening, Ling readies his fist for impact. With a single brutal punch, the kid completely shatters the wooden tip of his enemy's weapon. The driver's eyes pop out, completely shocked by the insane strength the young man just unleashed. Staring at the splinters, our main character calmly says he finally gets the fight's rhythm, dusting off his jacket and declaring he's ready. Glaring at the old man, the biker dares him to pull out another weapon, swearing to crush anything thrown his way. The old man just stares at the broken wood in his hands, wearing a look of absolute disbelief. Suddenly, he lets out a soft chuckle as he processes the absolute madness that just unfolded right before him. Holding the broken staff, he admits the kid reminds him of his own youth, risking everything in street fights while forcefully tearing the metal tip from the wood. The driver confesses he doesn't even know how he managed to survive those wild days. Now pay attention here, because heavy boots echo as the blonde passenger steps down, walking up to the old man with total disrespect. The blonde guy demands the old man pull himself together and help, instead of whining over a minor issue. Pointing his finger, the client insults the driver and demands a refund, furious about taking orders from someone he's paying. Without a single word, the old man pins the blonde client to the truck, stabbing his hand with a metal tip. As the criminal screams in agony, the man calmly asks if the spoiled brat has ever worked a day in his life, assuming he is just spoiled, and complaining that modern parents completely ruin their children, calling it pathetic that a young man so strong lacks any work ethic. Staring at the terrified blonde, the old man asks if he knows how to load cargo, getting a stuttered yes. Far from this chaos, the student screams the delivery guy's name with all her might. The delivery guy turns around to see why his annoying client is yelling so loud in the middle of the street. Furious, the girl orders him to drop his pride while on the job, demanding he act like a true professional. The student warns the biker that fighting this monster bare-handed is a terrible idea and begs him to back off. I know what you're thinking, but the delivery guy ignores her advice and says fistfights are his true comfort zone. Annoyed by her nagging, Ling warns his client never to lecture him on how to do his own job. Watching them argue, the driver readies a spiked mace, grumbling about how poorly the kid treats women. Without flinching, our hero charges forward and literally pulverizes the iron weapon with a single massive impact. The sheer force of his punch completely obliterates the spiked ball, sending metal fragments flying everywhere. Seizing the moment, the old man quickly swings the remaining chain, preparing another spinning attack in the street. Suddenly, his eyes widen in pure shock as he sees his opponent closing in at a terrifying speed. With another perfectly timed strike, the delivery guy breaks yet another weapon, making the veteran fear he will destroy everything. Calmly, Ling listens as his rival confesses he respects the kid's determination to complete his delivery mission. Staring at the smoke rising from the young man's gloves, the driver wonders what on earth his fists are made of. Right then, the pinned rich kid screams, demanding his employee attack faster and leave no openings. The client keeps throwing a fit, calling the old man useless for not knowing how to fight and demanding he end this. Out of patience, the driver warns in a dark voice that if he is interrupted again, things will end very badly. The suit tries to threaten him with getting fired, but gets completely shut up in the very next second. Right after, the old man kicks several boxes out of the truck while complaining about the youth's weak character. The heavy containers fly like absolute missiles straight towards the delivery guy. Reacting instantly, Ling intercepts the incoming cargo with precise strikes to neutralize the danger. With a powerful straight punch, the kid pierces right through a cardboard box, completely obliterating whatever was inside. Noticing the kid's amazing agility, the veteran's gaze turns colder, locking onto his target. Using a box as a shield, the driver pulls out a hidden iron pipe. Putting all his weight into the attack, the man swings the weapon down with insane power in a vertical strike. Without backing down a single millimeter, the delivery guy blocks the heavy iron bar using only his forearm. And that's where we leave it. Tell me, isn't seeing the biker block that and challenge his rival absolutely insane? Alright, you and I are about to watch a delivery guy with absolutely insane physical strength. Switching tactics on the fly, the driver hurls even more bizarre tools at his opponent. With flawless speeding up the pace, the old veteran unleashes a non-stop storm of heavy boxes and sharp tools. Caught right in the middle of this crossfire, the delivery guy blocks everything with supernatural speed. Slicing through the air, the biker throws a heavy punch that shatters a box flying straight at him. But the old-timer gives him zero room to breathe, kicking a massive sharp saw blade at his chest. With a deafening crash, the hero stops the spinning metal, smashing it down into the ruined pavement. Realizing none of his attacks are working, the driver gets ready to pull off his next deadly combo. Summoning all his strength, the veteran rips up a giant street sign to use as a weapon. A second later, he hurls a massive concrete block straight at the delivery boy. In a mind-blowing display of raw power, Liang completely shatters that solid block in one strike. Without hesitation, watch closely right here, even though a massive dust cloud covers everything, he stands completely unfazed. Gasping for breath from the extreme physical strain, the veteran starts sweating cold before this absolute monster. Breathing heavily, he frustratingly realizes he has officially run out of weapons in his entire arsenal. Taking advantage of the brief pause, the delivery boy removes his broken helmet and demands a replacement. Brushing back his sweaty hair, the young guy declares it is finally time to settle the bill for his bike. Seeing the kid's face, the driver freezes, remembering an old saying about show-offs. Shaken by the bizarre coincidence, the old man takes off his cap, trembling with pure anxiety. The memory drags him 30 years into the past, back when he was just an arrogant, cocky rookie. Back then, an older partner chewed him out, demanding he stop playing lone wolf and stick to the plan. Even though their target was just a single guy, the warning was clear: they were up against a deadly assassin. But the arrogant rookie just laughed it off, thinking this legendary killer was nothing but a joke. Driven by pure ego, he truly believed his opponent had zero real experience on an actual battlefield. To that cocky kid, boasting was for talentless losers. But reality hit hard when his entire squad got wiped out without a single ounce of mercy. As the sole survivor, he watched in absolute horror as the cleaner behind the massacre just stood there. Looking down with contempt at the defeated boy, the monster mockingly agreed that showing off is for the weak. Grabbing his throat, the killer confessed he was sick of hearing that acting cocky gets you killed. With a crazy look, "and this will blow your mind," he ironically noted, everyone who gave him that advice always died first. With total madness, he admitted he only spared his life to have someone left alive to talk to. Fading into the darkness, the man suggested keeping his pride to silence critics. Back in the present, the old veteran recalls why he quit close combat after surviving that nightmare. To stay alive, he threw his pride away and stayed hidden, keeping a low profile. He did all this out of constant fear of crossing paths with that demon again. For the last 3 decades, the driver tried his best to bury and ignore that traumatic memory. But fate has a pretty twisted sense of humor, placing a kid who looks exactly like his worst nightmare right in front of him. Survival instinct screams in his head to turn around and run immediately. The old man plants his boots on the ground, knowing full well that facing this boy is way beyond his limits. The delivery guy just watches him calmly, making it clear that fighting is pointless. Gasping for air, the man swallows his panic and bravely takes his old bare-knuckle fighting stance. Feeling the old-timer's sudden shift in energy, the biker is genuinely impressed by his bravery. Deep down, he bitterly wondered if hiding away like an absolute coward all these years was truly worth it. Tightening his gloves, he knows running from every danger in his old age was never his dream. Fueled by one last spark of honor, the driver charges forward on a suicidal run toward the young fighter. Letting out a battle cry, he prepares his punch, shouting that back in his prime, he could strike just as hard. Facing this desperate charge, Ling smiles, respecting the incredible resolve the old veteran is finally showing. He's focused, trust me. He ignores the danger. Get ready, because today you and I are going to watch this delivery guy crush a veteran with a brutal face punch, showing a totally ridiculous power gap. Sent flying like a complete rag doll from that absolutely brutal impact, the driver bites the dust in total defeat. Turning his back, our main character calmly tells him not to worry about paying for the ruined motorcycle anymore. After all, Lee Sang brags that he is about to make serious cash, so he will forgive the debt out of pure kindness. From the truck, the client in the suit starts screaming, completely losing his mind. The delivery guy just throws a deadly glare at that incredibly loud rich kid, and grabbing the student by the shoulder, he warns the suited man not to even think about moving. Ignoring the danger, the client aggressively snatches the sheet of paper from his hand. Totally unhinged, he grabs his phone and threatens to slash the guy's neck without answers. Clutching the cold metal, the rich kid gets ready to strike. Now, watch closely, because our main character wastes zero time and headbutts him straight in the face. From that devastating blow, the guy immediately drops his knife and loses his balance. The man collapses, knocked out cold onto the asphalt as the duo inspects the damage. Dusting off his clothes, he asks the girl if she really thought he would fight completely unprotected. The student stays quiet, listening to him brag about his victory. In the middle of the ruined street, the tension finally begins to fade after all that absolute chaos. Just to be safe, Lee Sang steps on the unconscious rich guy's head like a footrest. Chilled out, the rider admits he got a bit startled, but praises her agility, asking if she works out. The girl completely ignores his question, keeping her eyes glued to the empty road ahead. Littered across the street, the remains of the confiscated phones are completely pulverized. Seeing the shattered tech, he realizes things just got messy. Defending himself, he argues that accidents happen and nobody expected an ambush. Besides, he points out he was hired to fight, not to babysit a bunch of gadgets. Right then, the student walks over and grabs his finger with a lot of force. Focused, she inspects the Merca gloves right there on the ruined street. Worried about his condition, she asks him directly if he is okay after taking so many hard blows. Caught completely off guard by her question, admit it, you and I would laugh seeing him yell like this, totally blushing, swearing he is fine and asking if she really cared. The client lets out a heavy, disappointed sigh, calling the rider an idiot for completely missing the point. Annoyed, she snaps that if he had broken his hands, the entire deal would have gone to hell, demanding he stop acting like a rookie. Turning around, she warns him he is fired if he pulls another stupid stunt. Laughing nervously, the delivery rider follows her, confirming that he got the message loud and clear. Waking up from his nap, the veteran smiles with nostalgia, telling the girl not to be so harsh on her boyfriend. The older man thanks our hero for reviving that passionate fighter spirit he had forgotten years ago. To return the favor, he warns him that raw strength alone won't cut it in the big leagues. Trying to stand, the worker collapses again, begging for help since his body is totally numb, but the girl gives him a hard no. Ignoring the old man, he complains about his wrecked bike and wonders how they will reach their next delivery. Flat on the ground, the driver warns them that both of them will end up dead very soon. The veteran clarifies he does not doubt their skills, but drops a bombshell they are already on the priority list. Intrigued by this new information, Lee Sang quickly asks what that kind of order even means. The student turns pale, realizing their enemies moved way faster than expected, completely ruining all her plans. Annoyed at being ignored, the man asks how he can call himself a mercenary without knowing the app basics. Unlike standard gigs, he explains that a priority delivery goes live for every single mercenary on the server. This news completely overwhelms the girl, while the driver warns them that everyone is coming for them now. Sounding the alarm, the old man warns that professional hunters will hunt them day and night without rest. Hearing this, the rider bows his head to hide his face. But then, he looks up with a psycho grin, cheering that this is absolutely perfect. Clapping with pure excitement, the kid celebrates that opponents will deliver themselves right to him for free, and he gets paid for it. And that is where you and I leave them today, waiting to see if this maniac actually survives what is coming next. Come with me to see how this driver laughs at the kid, calling him crazy and instantly rejecting his deal. The schoolgirl completely ignores the driver, coldly stating he would never be qualified enough for her mission. Flat on the ground, the veteran clarifies he is a professional who never mixes his emotions with business. Struggling, the defeated man throws a mysterious object onto the street. A dog collar drops as he repeatedly insists that he wants no part of their team. The client shoots him a killer glare when the vet mockingly suggests accepting her only if she acts like his pet. Settling onto the ruined ground, the driver finally seems to accept his crushing defeat. With a smile on his face, he admits that if he were slightly younger, he wouldn't hide his strange attraction to the girl's toxic vibe. Fed up with this ridiculous conversation, Ling asks the girl for the next location, complaining about how weird they both are. The girl walks past the unconscious suit-wearing man, reminding them that time is ticking and they have one final stop left. In an instant, the schoolgirl tightly buckles the collar around the wealthy client's neck. Now, pay attention here. She grabs the leash and declares this guy is her brand new device. With eyes filled with absolute rage, the girl promises to directly extract every single piece of lost data from him. Dragged mercilessly by his neck, the man groans in pain as she vows to dig up his very last secret. By evening, the sunset lights up the massive city after a full day of absolute chaos and constant fighting. From the sidewalk, the biker asks if this location is their final delivery. She confirms it, warning him that this raid will be the toughest one yet. Staring at the school building, the delivery guy grumbles, realizing they ended up right back where everything first started. Annoyed by the useless detour, Liang complains they should have done this in the morning to avoid ruining his The girl fires back that causing a scene with a school full of students would have only triggered unnecessary trouble. Right behind them, the experienced driver chimes in to confirm he tied the hostage up incredibly tight, just as instructed. In the back of the truck, the wealthy client squirms, gagged and completely bound with thick, heavy ropes. The old man asks what use? You and I are diving into a wild ride where our protagonist jokes about a 30-year gap, demanding to be called Big Brother. Our hero spots fresh crimson stains on the floor, realizing a savage clash already went down right here. The girl nods slowly, her gaze freezing cold and incredibly calculating. An abandoned delivery bike near the entrance suggests another mercenary beat them to the punch. Their final destination is the fifth-floor student council room inside this silent building. Glancing up at the dark school windows, our main character notices the lights were just on, even though that room should be pitch black. Stepping through the corridor, they both realize someone got here first to intercept the package. With deadly seriousness, the female student suggests that they might actually be the real targets here. Now pay attention to that shadow down the hall, because we're about to see they're both completely right. The mysterious merc grumbles about the heavy load, calmly mentioning he already wiped out everyone in the council room. Lifting his visor, the killer grins and admits he got bored, so he decided to slaughter the rest of the school too. Shocked by his unhinged attitude, the old driver asks if this school doesn't even have night study classes. Annoyed by the rookie's complete lack of discipline, let's pause here. The veteran is just frustrated at another brat ignoring basic rules. Pointing a finger, the senior warns him that going rogue off contract makes him absolute trash. But suddenly, a blazing fast silver flash tears through the air straight toward the old man. With zero mercy, the assassin severs the driver's hand in a blink, snaps his visor down, and warns him to shut up and never point at him again. The force blasts the old man backward as blood sprays heavily from his severed arm. calmly checking his phone, the mercenary states he has no interest in weaklings and tells them to move aside. He claims he nearly wiped everyone out, feeling insulted they hired him just to kidnap some schoolgirl. Flashing his screen, the killer admits the game completely changed once he saw his target's picture. With a deeply unsettling grin, he vows that he got incredibly thrilled the moment he accepted the contract. The phone displays the girl's profile, but zooms in on a blurry blonde boy standing in the background. And that's where we realize this psycho was actually hunting our protagonist all along. Alright, watch this. The blue mercenary lunges forward, greeting the delivery guy like a total lunatic after all this time. This crazy intruder cheerfully claims they are actually old buddies working in the exact same line of work. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch this psychopath blow past our main character at ridiculous speed, catching them completely off guard. Confused by the chaos, the girl asks our blonde delivery guy if this absolute lunatic is actually a friend of his. She complains that she never heard about his shady past and demands to know what the hell is going on. As cold as ever, Lee Sang makes it clear that this guy isn't a friend, he is something else entirely. But right then, the client's eyes widen as the lightning-fast enemy catches her completely by surprise. The killer grabs the helpless student by the throat, pinning her down right in front of Lee Sang. Finding the whole thing hilarious, the maniac mockingly asks if he took a bodyguard gig just to protect his girlfriend. Straight up, the blonde writer replies, "She is just a client, and he is only here to get paid." Standing his ground, the main character says he is the real target, demanding he let her go to settle this one-on-one. Behind his dark visor, the psycho just stares back in silence. Completely ignoring the demand, the assassin brutally throws the student aside with terrifying strength. Watch closely here. This mercenary launches a sudden, massive punch straight at Lee Sang's face. The blow lands heavy, and the killer mocks our boy's embarrassing attempt at playing the hero. The sheer impact sends the main character sliding down the hallway. Meanwhile, the client crashes hard against the wall, desperately struggling to regain her footing. Miraculously, she manages to steady herself, surviving the brutal fall without taking any serious damage. Staring down his rival, the maniac asks if the blonde guy forgot what their job is actually about. With a twisted smirk, he reminds him of the kind of monsters they both truly are deep down. To push his buttons even more, he asks what happened to all the people the delivery guy promised to protect back then. Hearing that, Lee Sang's face turns dead serious. The killer charges back in, acknowledging the incredible brute strength the main character still possesses. Without giving him a single second to breathe, the blue mercenary unleashes a savage barrage of strikes on the kid. As he parries the endless assault, Lee Sang mutters that his opponent's speed and technique are still on another level. Pressing the attack, the killer admits they never actually settled who would take the crown in a direct one-on-one. He claims the blonde abandoned the underworld just to play pretend as a happy, ordinary student. Laughing at the irony, the enemy swears that living such a peaceful life is exactly what made him so soft. Face to face with his rival, the maniac declares that this comfortable lifestyle completely goes against his true nature. The psychopath tells Lee Sang to stop playing around and crawl back to the sewers where he belongs. But hold on, I bet you didn't see this coming from the student. She wipes blood from her hand, hunting like a hawk for the perfect moment to strike. Without making a single sound, she takes a quick, calculated step straight toward the chaotic brawl. Shocking everyone, the girl jumps and clings to the enemy's back like a backpack. The killer spins around, totally baffled by the sudden extra weight. Meanwhile, our main character silently watches his client's absolutely suicidal move. Taking it as a joke, the maniac asks if the girl is trying to flirt with him in the middle of a war zone. He keeps laughing, pretty annoyed that she called him a nuisance earlier during the fight, but the student grabs his head tightly, demanding he repeat that joke. Instantly, the guy feels the sheer bloodlust radiating off her. The psychopath's eyes widen in pure shock. In a fast, lethal move, the student puts her hands right over his helmet, completely blocking his visor and leaving him totally blind. The mercenary panics in the dark, cursing this dirty trick, while the main character seizes the perfect opening she just handed him. Lee Sang channels all his power into his fist. With absolutely zero mercy, the blonde looking at the aftermath, our main character admits the girl's move was actually pretty clever and unexpected. Catching her breath after the struggle, the student declares she is definitely not a burden to anyone on this team. The delivery guy carelessly drags the knocked-out enemy by his vest. Standing behind him, the girl settles things once and for all, seriously stating she is nobody's girlfriend. Off in the distance, the old driver's severed hand is still lying in the messy hallway. The elderly man screams, writhing in pure agony from his horrific wound. Seeing his injured partner, the main character gets the old driver's attention. Holding up the unconscious enemy, Lee Sang casually tells him to just pick up his hand off the floor already. Stunned by that advice, the driver stammers, asking if you can even reattach a severed hand. Quite a wild way for us to wrap up today, right? Calmly, the boy claims he knows the perfect contact for that insane Frankenstein surgery. Our protagonist then asks the student what her next move is. She replies that it's already far too late to find a working phone in all this chaos. Come along with me. As Lee Sang drags the knocked-out assassin, realizing that despite his sloppy look, the guy is a total perfectionist. The client nods, deducing that if he checked his pockets first, he definitely smashed the phone of every single witness as well. The mercenary bets the student council room is completely trashed, since that maniac's methods always lead to absolute chaos. Looking away, the girl tells the delivery guy to back off, asking why he's suddenly acting like her therapist. Fed up, our guy complains that she always gets angry, even when he's just trying to help her out. Pointing at the floor, the client glares at the sleeping psychopath, asking if the writer seriously has the nerve to call him a friend. The blonde growls that he already made it clear they aren't friends, but freezes when she asks what they are then. Giving the slumped-over guy a light kick, the delivery guy suggests that stalker is a much more accurate label. The enemy wakes up instantly, offended by the joke, making Lee Sang sigh in annoyance now that the guy is conscious again. The protagonist explains they crossed paths on an old job, but the guy kept picking fights and stalking him, so he blocked him in real life. Grabbing the blonde's leg, the maniac says true friends support each other, while the mercenary asks if he needs to knock him out again. Ice cold, the student offers to handle him herself, but pay attention here, our delivery guy warns her that she messed with the wrong crowd and this target is lethal. The psychopath laughs, mocking the entire situation and asking the blonde if he even has any idea who he's hanging out with. He drops the bomb that she's the daughter of Seong Jaeong-chil, the man at the absolute peak of power in Korea. Lee Sang blinks at a name he's never heard of, frustrating the enemy with his ignorance, while the client warns that the mercenary is way out of his league. Even so, the assassin smirks and offers some advice, telling the girl to visit the Sungcheong-dong district. Dripping with sarcasm, he advises her to look for Young if she wants a shot at finding out who really killed her father. Noticing their tense silence, the madman asks mockingly if his priceless information wasn't extremely helpful to them. Suddenly, the student brutally stomps right on the face of the psychopath lying on the ground. Slamming his head against the tiles, the girl venomously asks if this rat thinks he can just mention her father like that. With a murderous glare, the client orders him to spill everything he knows before she decides to end his life. But the enemy just laughs, instantly rejecting her aggressive demand, telling her to go find out with her little boyfriend. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, she snaps, lifting her heavy bag to bash him again. Immediately, Lee Sang stops her, telling her seriously that she's handed out enough beatings for one day. The assassin takes the chance to mock them, saying the delivery guy is playing hero because they're actually two of a kind. Our protagonist denies the claim instantly, knowing this scum will never give them any real information. After all, The blonde knows how he was trained, warning her that beating answers out of him will only tire her arm. Offering some tactical wisdom, the mercenary suggests it would be better to plan their next quick escape point. After a few highly tense seconds, the student finally sighs and decides to follow the rider's advice. Dropping her heavy backpack, it hits the floor with a loud thud right in the middle of the hallway. Miles away, a quiet night falls over the busy streets of Jongwood, where a phone on a desk begins to vibrate with a high-priority notification. A woman's hand, covered in expensive rings, picks up the phone, which displays a new delivery order on the screen. Dressed in an incredibly luxurious outfit, a mysterious lady checks the message glowing in the dark. With her back to the window, she announces to her exclusive guests that a new job has just hit her list. The boss notes the girl could be highly useful, ordering her squad to bring her back in perfect condition. As for the boy, the order is ruthless. Tear him to pieces and throw whatever remains to the hounds. Taking an elegant drag from her cigarette, the boss demands her team handle this operation with absolute finesse. Back at the school, our uniformed client is being transported, completely tied up in the back of the delivery truck. The assassin is tied up just the same and complains about the awful view, while Lee Sang bangs on the truck to confirm delivery details with the veteran driver. While securing the cargo, the old man asks if his only duty is to drop these two packages at the delivery point. Our rider notes it looks like a normal hospital, saying they'll take it from there. Trust me, you'll want to see how this unravels. Come with me to see this madness. He warns the old man not to try anything funny on the road. Laughing at his distrust, the driver replies that he was paid up front, so he has no reason to ruin this mission. The two teenagers watch as the veterans ride away safely through the dark city streets. Pulling something from his pocket, the delivery boy checks his prize with a huge grin. The prize is the key to a brand new motorcycle he got as a bonus. But seeing his excitement, the girl reminds him his old bike is trash, demanding he use this one. Wasting no time, the mercenary approaches the incredible ride parked right outside the school gates. Beyond excited over such a luxury machine, the boy celebrates big time, thinking his client handed him some legendary item, but she ruins the moment instantly, revealing the bike actually belonged to that psychopath, Bei Ming. She explains she swiped the keys right from his pocket while that maniac held her by the neck. Talk about a stealth move executed flawlessly, right in the middle of a brutal boss fight. Pay close attention here, because our main character wraps up his shift while praising her incredible work. Perched on the bike, the blonde complains about her enemy's terrible taste, saying the seat feels awful. With the student riding pillion, the two of them cruise through the dark streets in total silence. Stopping at a red light, the mercenary claims his battery is completely dead and he cannot drive her home. He tells her to walk, making her suspicious of his weird behavior. Boldly, the girl suggests they should just go back to his apartment and sleep together. Hearing such madness, the delivery boy completely freezes up, as if his brain had suddenly short-circuited. Panicking, he screams, demanding to know what on earth she is talking about and why she wants to go to his place. Sighing in annoyance, the student mocks him, pointing out that her own home was totally destroyed last night. She complains it is impossible to sleep in a danger zone, where she is threatened 24 hours a day. Our main character calls her out on this ridiculous logic, but she argues it is right there in their contract clauses. She reminds him that he swore to stay by her side permanently, no matter where they are. Dead serious, she warns him not to pretend he forgot that condition. Feeling the immense pressure, he breaks into a cold sweat, because he remembers that recent vow all too well. Accepting her fate, she pats the seat and tells him to go. Seeing her so relaxed, the mercenary groans, asking if she even understands the implications. I know what you are thinking. And yes, he asks her straight up what kind of signal she thinks she is sending. Staring her down, he asks if she is 100% sure absolutely nothing will happen between them. Without showing any panic, she calmly admits she cannot guarantee that at all. Right after, she boldly dares him to try, Clinging behind him, she repeats that he is free to do whatever he wants. She assures him if it improves their chemistry for future missions, she does not mind one bit. Completely thrown off by a reply he never expected, the boy stands speechless, utterly lost for words. Annoyed by the entire situation, Ling grips the handlebars tightly, letting out a frustrated growl. Looking away, he tries to act completely indifferent, muttering that she is not his type of woman at all. Plus, he warns her he only has one pillow and blanket, so she is on her own. End of story. He starts the luxury bike to drive off. As they ride through the city, he warns her his place is extremely modest. Hours later, the pair finally arrives at the simple building where the mercenary will rest for the night. Once inside, our exhausted hero collapses onto the floor while casually checking his phone. He immediately swears out loud, seeing his crypto coins have completely crashed into the abyss. Clutching his phone, he groans that his stomach actually hurts from all this intense stress. In the same room, the student sits quietly, hugging her knees. The client remains in total silence, huddled in the corner of his basic apartment. Watching her, he mutters in disbelief that a girl actually came to his home just because he allowed it. Inside his mind, the memory of his client daring him to take the initiative returns to haunt him. He also remembers the exact second she told him he could do whatever he wanted to her. Burying his face in his arms, Liang wonders if this is exactly how a total system collapse feels. Lying on the floor, the biker regrets adding the absolute worst character to his party. He promises himself he will retire forever once he gets that final payment. And that is where we leave them, with her perfectly calm and him on the brink of absolute collapse. Come along with me for this absolute madness, as our mercenary quietly tries clearing those pop-ups to refocus on his mission. Checking his delivery app, he tries convincing himself he is only acting weird because his health points are running low. Seeing there are only 5 minutes left until delivery, the student suddenly mentions she actually prefers seasoned chicken instead. She complains about wanting to pick a different menu option, but he simply replies that the order is already locked in. Completely shocked, our main character asks if this is seriously her first time ever ordering delivery chicken. She explains she had fried chicken from her private chef before, revealing her father strictly banned delivery food, forcing them to eat homemade meals every single day. Despite those incredibly strict household rules, she admits she truly loved that cozy, warm family routine. Her absolute favorite part was that her father always managed to make it home just to have dinner with her. Over in the most exclusive district of the city, towering skyscrapers light up the dark night sky. Now pay close attention here. She remembers when her wealthy father canceled dinner via text, leaving her all alone in their luxury apartment after the chef had an emergency. While watching television, the little girl saw a dish on screen that looked absolutely spectacular. Craving it badly, she gathered her courage and placed her very first delivery order alone, exactly 2 years ago. A short while later, the sharp sound of the doorbell echoed through the silent apartment. Through the intercom, a muffled voice announced that her delivery package had finally arrived at the front door. Super excited for the experience, she quickly replied she was on her way, opening the door without expecting any danger, while asking the driver to wait a second. Opening the door wide, the student came face to face with a mysterious biker standing in the pitch-black hallway. I bet you did not see this coming. All her excitement vanishes, replaced by absolute terror upon seeing the visitor. On that tragic night, the delivery man held the bag of food with his face completely hidden behind a helmet. Right on the biker's chest, a mysterious logo faintly glowed under the dim lights of the luxury corridor. Back in the present, the student stares directly at Lee Sang, asking if he thinks this is just some simple glitch in the Matrix. With unbearable tension rising, the young woman relives the intense trauma of that horrible day in her mind. She reveals a painful secret the very first time she ordered delivery. Everything ended with a knife covered in blood. To make matters worse, the client confesses that was the exact day her father was brutally murdered. Staring directly at him, she swears the disguised hitman from that night looked almost identical to him. Narrowing her eyes, she makes it clear she does not believe for a second that this is just some ironic twist of fate. Hearing that direct accusation, our main character slowly stands up, absorbing the massive weight of her shocking revelation. Breaking out in a cold sweat, he groans in frustration, realizing the absolute mess he has gotten himself into. And that is where we leave it. With a mercenary deeply regretting his choices as this job turns into his worst nightmare.